Coach, a lot of fans are really excited about Carlin Jones. How realistic is it for a true freshman in that position to come in and contribute right away?
It's definitely realistic. I think he's not a guy obviously that was here early, but that's definitely not a prerequisite. It helps, but there's certainly plenty of examples of guys that come in and are able to contribute. And I think all of our young defensive linemen coming in, again, you're talking about this. I know we've talked about it at length, but this massive change in terms of how we play, the body types, styles, all that. It's not like we've been recruiting or building to that necessarily for a bunch of years stacked up. So yeah, I think him coming in, all of our young guys are going to have a chance to come contribute. Now, with that being said, our returners, our guys that were here in the spring, made some massive gains. Both again the strength, the body types, the knowledge of the system. So they got to come in and prove, that you want to invest like that in them early. But Carlin's talented. He's a big guy. He's learning fast. I mean, going from high school to getting coached at the level he's getting coached at right now is a big difference. And but he's progressing, and you can certainly see some of the talent with him and our other younger defensive linemen.
With the staff size increase, was there any thought to kind of restructuring the staff this season, or is that something you'll do after the season?
We've got a few things internally that we have restructured and are using people different ways. As those come about or we get to the right point, we'll announce those. So there's certainly, it's nice. I mean, it's like kind of like finally. It's like the NCAA's been behind the times so far on that rule. So it's great that you now can just use the people on your staff and what you think's the best way. So we do have a lot of people taking more active roles, especially some of the guys that are very experienced in the QC world for us that are really taking active roles on all three sides. We will have a few title changes and some shifts that'll happen, some before the season, some after. But yeah, it already feels a lot different in the way that we're using our staff personnel right now.
So definitely a special teams coordinator,
right? Yes, there is a special teams coordinator.
You talked about the guys returning also. Where's Pepe right now compared to where he's been?
Done great. He and I were actually talking last night from, when we got here in the beginning, I didn't know if he was going to make it, to be honest. I just didn't know if he was going to be the ones that were here that were going to survive or that were going to kind of just float away. And he's done a great job, man. I mean, he was easily the most out-of-shape player on this roster. Some of it his doing, some of it the injuries he faced before we got here. But, he's just totally changed his body. And he's put himself in position where he can contribute, and certainly this system defensively fits a guy like him a lot more than what we were doing in the past. So I think he realizes that, and sees that window of opportunity, and he's got some real size and mass in there that certainly you feel like he's going to have the opportunity to have a role. But yeah, proud of, from the guys that were here when we first started, which there's not many now left. It's starting to be fewer and fewer. He's one of the ones that I'm most proud of from where he was a couple of years ago to now.
How do you size up the right guard situation? And what has Amos done this spring to kind of get more on the radar there?
Yeah, it's still, that's one of the biggest position battles right now, no question. We're trying to look at a lot of guys. We're going to look at Amos. We're going to look at Alani. We're going to look at Gino there. Micah Vanuelos is really starting to make a move right now. He's healthy for the first time in a while. He came in with an injury, and we were able to practice him some last year, but we knew eventually we were going to have to get it fixed. And so we pulled the plug on that towards the end of last season so that he would be ready. And it's been fun to see him dive in as well. So I think he's certainly got a chance to factor in. Yeah, Amos has worked hard to get himself in shape. He's a smart player. He's a very talented player. I think him and Alani are both battling some of the same things. It's like they have the ability, they have the mass, like they have the movement skills, and it's just understanding the game. It's understanding all the different things that can happen on plays, being able to react, being able to communicate, just on a consistent basis. They can do it now so much better when they were true freshmen, but to get it up to the level of a starter is their challenge right now.
Lincoln Josh Henson told us about Elijah Paige and him moving down to scout team last year and how that really seemed to motivate him. How did you see that situation play out? And what was the impetus initially to move him down?
Yeah, he was kind of close there of whether we keep him and maybe he's a backup or a kind of not necessarily wasn't really competing right to be in the rotation in the beginning, but as a guy you travel or do you keep him with you or not? And as we got going, we just said, this kid needs he needs to go down there and get beat up a little bit. I mean, he does. He needs to go against really good players every day. He needs to be in a little bit of a war every single day. He's got to get tougher. He's got to get more physical. He's got to really learn to compete consistently. And what happened is, I mean, the kid really invested in the offseason with Coach Wiley. I mean, he was incredibly dedicated. He knew coming in that he was weak and was going to need to put on mass and strength, and he did that. And his confidence rose because of that. And then he got on that field, and he competed hard every day. He got beat some days, but as the days went on, he started winning more and more. And then we all of a sudden we get to bowl practices, and he's over there with us, and we're thinking, all right, we're going to play this guy like we did a lot of young guys, and we're kind of like, dang, this guy looks a lot different than the last time he was on this offensive field. And so he's one of the stories of the guys that handled it well. And it's important, man. So many guys think it's like the world of instant gratification, right? It's like, oh, well, I go to the scout team, like I'm being demoted, or that's a negative thing. And he had the understanding of, no, I'm going over there for a reason. I can go over there and train against some really good players in a really competitive environment every day. And in football, that's hard to find. You can't just go find a pickup game somewhere, And so, like, he saw the value, and he had enough self-awareness to know, like, I need this. You're right, Coach. Like, we do need this. I do need this. And he attacked it, and, he's a much better player because of it.
What have you seen from Jayden Maiava, and how do you think the two quarterbacks like Miller, Moss, and Maiava have handled that quarterback competition this fall so far?
Jayden's done well. He's much improved, which we expected him to be. He's much improved in just some of the simple pieces of communication and operating our system, which that takes all quarterbacks a little bit of time to get used to. So I think he mentally is in a much better place, executing at a high level, and much improved. I think they're handling the reps well. We're rotating them. They're playing with different groups. We're putting them in different situations. Both have done a really good job so far, and certainly going to be a fun competition to watch unfold.
Potentially going from Caleb to Miller, quarterback, knowing Miller's strengths in terms of playing on time, on schedule, just the way that you kind of run your offense or structure your offense change, with him and his quarterback as opposed to how Caleb has run it the last 2 years.
Yeah, it will. I mean, there's always, I think, some core things that you do and believe in that we probably won't change a whole lot regardless of who's there. And then there's certainly, us doing our job to put our players in the best position we can. And so, I mean, I think, will we do every single thing we've done the previous few years? Probably not. But it's not like it's going to be just a brand new offense that nobody's seen either. So there's some give and take there, but it's fun to have some new skill sets in the room and guys that play it different. And it's not just the plays you run. It's kind of how you coach these guys, kind of what you build around them. And again, trying to put these guys in a position where their confidence is really high, because it's probably more important at that position than any.
Thank you, Coach Riley.
All right.
Thanks.